Welcome back. Today we're ranking every Sekiro boss, every Sekiro memory boss, including the inner versions, Inner Genichiro, Inner Father, and Inner Ishin, and we will be ranking them based on how much I like the boss, and that will vary based on some of the factors like the flow of the fight, how much they fit the game, and their movesets. This is all obviously a personal take, but feel free to comment down below what you feel, and let's get a move on. So first, we got Gyobu the Demon. I think he's a good boss. He's a very good starter boss, I'd say. He was at least the first boss I fought, but he's he has a pretty good and clean move set for new players. He's not too difficult to where it's like um it's not like Margit, which I feel like is slightly overtuned for a starter boss. Gyobu the Demon feels like it's a good start major boss fight because his moveset's clean. He doesn't have too many bullshit attacks. He has a couple weirdly timed attacks. Not bullshit, but if you get used to it, it's pretty easy to block. And he's pretty accessible, quick, pretty close to the statue. And he's not super punishing in terms of health damage. So if you get hit, you're not going to immediately lose. He actually gives you a lot of time to get back up. And I think he's always a fun fight, especially in the NG Plus runs where he becomes more powerful and you feel like he becomes a threat again. And I kind of like that feeling where he feels like a starter boss again and again in NG Plus, and it is clean as well. It doesn't feel like it's an easy fight. It doesn't feel repetitive. It feels like a good boss, not amazing, not average. Next, we have Lady Butterfly. I personally rank it right below Gyobu. I like the boss fight. It's good, but personally, I think what brings it down is the second phase. The first phase is good, but the second phase I don't necessarily think adds anything beneficial to the fight. It makes it more difficult, sure, and I get that's the point. But to say it makes the boss fight better is not correct in my opinion, because I feel like all the extra projectiles and the enemy spawning doesn't do any justice to what the boss could have added to a moveset in the second phase. But I get the point based on her attacks, based on her weapon. It does make sense, but it doesn't feel as good to fight and as the first phase, in my opinion. Next, we have, and that's also why it's good, but next we have Genichiro Ashina, and I think this is an amazing boss fight. Everything about it's good. It feels like a perfect transition into the middle game from the early game. He's a difficult on the first round. He's a slightly difficult boss fight. He doesn't pose too much of a challenge, but he adds a lot. He has a lot of different attacks, a lot of perilous attacks. Well, a couple of perilous attacks, and he's the longest boss fight up to that point, and I think that's great, especially because his moveset's super fun to fight. It's super flowing. It's a fast boss fight as well, which I love. It feels really, really quick, and you either destroy him or he destroys you, and I love those types of boss fights. I love the dual boss fights where we're either it's like we're both equally powered people at each other's throats, and I feel like that adds a lot, and it makes the fight more not realistic, but more close to what a actual fight of that caliber would look like at that point. If you understand what I'm saying, and that's why I think like Genichiro Ashina is so fun. He's also a really replayable boss fight. You fight a bunch of different versions of him, and also Way of Tomoe. Not this one, but the third phase is also very fun to fight. He becomes from a already slightly glass cannon build to a full glass cannon build, where it's a really quick phase, but he does a lot of damage and he's really punishing. But if you were clean with it, the fight ends quickly, and it's like the first two phases on steroids in terms of speed, because he's always rushing at you and he's throwing lightning attacks your way as well. The lightning attacks aren't difficult to dodge, but I think they add a lot of flair to a fight, and with deflection and like you can reverse the lightning, it becomes a fun mechanic. Because if you, especially for more experienced players, if you know how to reverse it, it becomes so much of a better way to fight him, because it does a lot of damage in terms of both health and posture. And I feel like it's really fun because it really makes it so it has a higher skill ceiling than some of the other bosses in the game. Well, all the bosses in the game have a high skill ceiling, but some of them you have to really learn, and then you have to like understand how certain core mechanics in the game to beat them and to get much better at them. And I feel like this is a fight, especially for an earlier fight, that does it really well. Next, we have the folding screen monkeys, and straight point blank. Um, they're they are probably my second least favorite boss in the game. Behind one I'll get to later, or I actually can't remember. I can't say right now if it's the second worst or the worst, because it's just so stupid the way the boss fight is. It's especially for newer players who don't understand how the boss fight works. Going into it, if you haven't watched a tutorial, if you haven't watched a video, if you haven't watched anything, it's a long boss fight that I first tried. It wasn't a difficult boss fight. It was a super easy boss fight, but it was took me what, like 15 minutes. I know that's really long because I'm an idiot, but it took me so long to beat him on the first try, and it wasn't even fun. Is the problem. There was nothing fun about it. It was literally just running around, chasing one of the monkeys, or finding them in, like, especially the invisible one at the start. If you don't know he's there, that really sucks trying to find him. I know he doesn't move, but if you don't know that you can just immediately turn around and kill that monkey, it's such a dumb thing, because it just really hurts. It doesn't hurt, it really is painful to fight that boss, and it's not fun. It's not something I look forward to. You know, I look forward to a bunch of these bosses when I replay the game or when I do an NG Plus run. This is not one of them. This is the ones I actively am like, I have to fight this because I want to get the Mortal Blade, but I don't want to do it at all. I just let me skip this boss fight. I don't care if I don't get the memory. I just don't want to do the boss. And I feel like that's why they're bad. It's like, I get it's a puzzle boss, but it doesn't feel like a boss fight that's good. Puzzle bosses, sure, they're gimmicky, but this one is just not what I think makes a boss fight good. And I don't think it adds anything to a boss fight for it to be a puzzle, and it just doesn't feel great. Also, the arena kind of sucks, but I get that's the point for the monkeys. So we go on to Guardian Ape. I think he's good. I think Guardian Ape's definitely a good boss fight. I like him more than Lady Butterfly. I don't know where I'd put him relative to Gyobu. I feel like my one problem with him in the first phase is some of his attacks just feel bad to fight. It's like, it doesn't some of his, especially like the one where he does when he falls on his butt but his back straight up, and instead of just sitting there, he does with his left arm, he slams the ground like 3 times and then spins around. Obviously, if you're on the right side, it's a free hit, but if you're even slightly misplaced, it's just a really annoying attack. And then also when he starts rolling on the ground, that's not difficult. It's just a really annoying attack. And I get that's the point, but like, it doesn't feel as fun to fight. And then especially with his poison attacks, the fart one, And the pot one's easy. I don't care about that one. But the fart one is just really annoying. And then in the second phase, the headless phase, it's not. I think it's around the same level for me. It's just like his attacks become completely different. It's a completely different boss. Once you learn how to deal with his scream attack, it's not bad. But on the first while with the scream attack, I struggled avoiding it, and I think that's why it's not it's not amazing for me. It's not an amazing boss fight. It's not. I say Gyobu. I don't know. I just really like that boss fight, Gyobu. He's a. I kind of judge games based on like, especially these types of games based on the first fight. If I like the game, like something like Margit, I had to learn to love the game despite spending so much time on Margit, and I feel like so I know this is going on a tangent to Elden Ring, but I feel like this proves my point. Something like Draconic Tree Sentinel, instead of moving on, I beat him and on my first playthrough, and I think that's what got me into the game again. Because initially on my first playthrough, the one where I stopped, like I got to Margit, died a couple of times, and then quit. But when I came back, I completely restarted, beat not Draconic Tree Sentinel. I beat normal Tree Sentinel, and that's what got me into that game. And then Margit, despite me dying a lot on him and it being slightly turn off, I just went around and then came back. But the problem is and I feel like Gyobu is the same thing for me that Tree Sentinel was, where it's like that's what got me into the game, and it made me see what the game's capable of, and I feel like that's just more beneficial. Maybe it's like, yes, maybe it's not nostalgia, but it's something like that. Maybe it's that's why I'm ranking him better. But me personally, it just was more impactful to how I viewed the game. But I feel like that's also because it's the first boss. But you never know. I feel like that gives Gyobu the boost. Anyways, Corrupted Monk. Um, I'll put him top of good for now because there's a better version of him, and he's the better version's peak, but like this one I feel just drags on slightly too long. He has too much health and too much posture for where he's at in the game. And I feel like the other version, the True Monk, um remedies that issue, because the Corrupted Monk's all just it's not just a really long boss fight. It's also just really long on one phase with the same moveset that doesn't change no matter the health. And I think that's just really annoying. Not annoying. It can get redundant rather. And I feel like to me it influences how I see the boss, and I feel like Corrupted Monk becomes on each of the playthroughs. It's a really fun boss fight. It feels like a dance. It feels like it's a very clean boss fight once you learn it. It's a fun flowing boss fight, and that's what I like about it. But the redundancy, especially of Corrupted Monk, can get a bit annoying. So that's why it's probably not going to be an amazing. I might move it up, or I might move Lady Butterfly down because I don't want to stack everything in one tier. But you get the point. Next, we have Great Shinobi Owl. I think I prefer him over Corrupted Monk. I'll move him up to amazing. Great Shinobi Owl was a really fun boss fight. I just think that actually, do I prefer him over Corrupted Monk? Do I? That's a question now. I know for some people this is not a question, but I feel like I'll move Lady Butterfly down. But I feel like no hate to Lady Butterfly. It's just that I want to stack it all in good because then that becomes the average, and I want average to be the average, not good to be the average. Because this is all relative to the bosses in game, not as like if we're ranking them based on bosses as a whole in across all the games I've played, then this would be completely different. But I'm basing it relative to the game. So the average is the average for the game, not for other FromSoft games, not for other games like other Souls-like games I've played. This is just relative to Sekiro. That's why Lady Butterfly would be a good fight in other games, but it's just average in Sekiro. I'm gonna move it down to average, top of average, because Sekiro is such a stacked list. Anyways, back to the Great Shinobi Owl. Great Shinobi Owl. I think the harder version, we'll get to him later. Owl Father is better because Great Shinobi Owl. It feels slightly slower of a fight and um a bit more like dragged out, not in a bad way, because the way Great Shinobi Owl fights is a more passive fighting style. Like he'll jump back, use shurikens, do flips in the air and all that stuff, and it can throw off the pace, and I get that's the point of the fight, but especially with the newer version, not newer version, especially with the harder version and the better version, it feels like it's slightly worse of a fight than it normally would be, because once you get used to Father, a Great Shinobi Owl doesn't feel as fun to fight, especially in other playthroughs. He's a good fight. He's always fun to fight, but he's not like, I think he's on the same level as Corrupted Monk in terms of like how fun. These are interchangeable for me. And I know some people might find fault, like, oh, how is Great Shinobi Owl the same as Corrupted Monk? But I feel like both of them are the same level, or maybe actually Corrupted Monk's a bit, I don't know. But I think, me personally, right now in this moment, Corrupted Monk's better than Great Shinobi Owl, because I feel like I enjoy Corrupted Monk's fight over and over again, like when I replay, more than I do Great Shinobi Owl. And maybe that'll change the more I play, but with the Owl Father, it doesn't feel like it deserves amazing, because also amazing is like peak boss fights in this game, not just this game, but like overall, it's just amazing for me. Really is really hard to reach. We have Emma the Gentle Blade. Um, I put Emma in good. Actually, I'll move Corrupted. I'll move Corrupted up to amazing. No, I don't want to. That means I'll have to be a bit harsher on my ratings then, because I don't like this. I don't want to move Emma down to average, but I don't want good to be the average as well. That's my problem. We'll move Corrupted Monk. As much as bad I said about Corrupted Monk, it's still a really good fight. I still look forward to it every time. I look forward to the combo of like a Rain of Water into Corrupted Monk, because that's always a fun fight for me. Those are always fun fights. But outside of that, I'll move him up just for the sheer fact that if good becomes average, then that's the problem for me. Actually, it's a bit too heavy on the high end. Um, this is relative to the game, so I might drop Emma down one instead. We could leave it like this for now, but I'll shift it around later. Emma the Gentle Blade. I feel like, so didn't first try like Emma and Ishin, but I first tried Emma and the first phase of Ishin. But Emma is a interesting fight, I'd say. It doesn't feel bad to fight, but I feel like some of her timings just feel weird and not as like, once you learn to fight her, she's not difficult at all. But if those timings don't feel similar to any of the other boss fights, especially because she uses some of the other techniques that Ishin uses, it feels weirder knowing that I fought Ishin a lot to fight Emma, and I feel like her attacks feel more flowing and more gentle. I get that's the point, but it just doesn't feel as fun to fight. But it's not a bad fight. It's a good. It's like a. The problem is good is stacked. I'd say I prefer everything in good over Emma, So I'm gonna move her down to so I moved her to average, but that doesn't mean she's a bad boss fight. It's just that in terms of Sekiro, it's just not there, especially with the boss fight falling after Emma, which is Ishi Nashina, the sure ending one, the old man one. I think he's good. I don't know if I prefer. I think I prefer him over Great Shinobi Owl. So I think I don't know if I move him up to amazing or not. I think he's a good boss fight. I definitely prefer the other version of Ishin, but so I feel like one of the different things is, so on the Ishin the Sword Saint, you have to be really aggressive and you have to keep pressure on him. But the thing with Ishi Nashina is, if you put too much pressure on him, you get more punished than you do Ishi the Sword Saint, because when he dashes backwards and then you go in for a follow-up swing so he can deflect and keep that posture bar up, he'll dodge and then hit you and you'll get punished. And if you've learned that Ishi in the Sword Saint fight, that becomes getting used to and doesn't feel correct. That's why I didn't enjoy it as much on the first playthrough, because well, not on the first playthrough, on my NG run, because I did Ishi in the Swords, I did Immortal Severance on my first run, and then on NG Plus I did Ishi Nashina, I did the Shura ending, and so that's why I feel like it felt slightly awkward for me. But outside of that, first phase was very similar to Ishi the Sword Saint, really fun. Or it was slightly less fun because I feel like Ishi is slightly more aggressive, but Ishi in the Sword Saint slightly more aggressive. But the second phase, his fire attacks, once you learn them, are a spectacle, and they're fun to dodge, especially the one where he lights the entire floor up. If you get the timing down correctly, it feels really satisfying to get that jump dodge, and that's why I'd put him up there. And then that's why he's good. I think he's better than. I think I enjoy him. I think he's more replayable for me than Great Shinobi Owl, and I enjoy him more now. In my first playthrough, I enjoyed Great Shinobi Owl more, but well, in my first tries, I enjoyed Great Shinobi Owl more. Right now, I enjoy Ishi Nashina more because I feel like he has a greater level of replayability and difficulty. So I think that adds to him. Headless Ape, average, bang on average, bottom of average. I think like the Guardian Ape, the Headless Ape refight, or the Duo Ape fight is, we'll call this the Duo Ape fight because there's no Duo Ape fight on this, so I'm just going based off memories. But basically, the Headless Ape. So the first phase feels really easy for some reason. It feels very much easier than the second phase of the Guardian Ape, which is really weird because they're both the same boss. But I don't know why Headless Ape feels so much easier. And then on the duo part, I'm not the biggest fan of duo parts because they're rarely duo fights because they're rarely done correctly. And while this one's not bad, it also doesn't really add anything to the fight. If anything, it just makes it slightly more annoying because if you don't get the scream attack on the Headless Ape for a while, it just drags out the fight a lot longer than it needs to. But once you know how to fight him, it's a really easy boss fight. Like once he gets that scream and the second ape runs over to you, you firecracker and then you kill it and it becomes like a very simple fight. But outside of that, I don't think it really adds anything new to the Guardian Ape fight. If anything, it makes it slightly worse because I feel like the Guardian Ape into Headless Ape is a better boss fight combo than Headless Ape into another ape and the Headless Ape, because not only is there less monotony, there's also just like the fact that Duel brings it down slightly. So I'd put him at the bottom of average because I enjoy Lady Butterfly more and I enjoy Emma more now. I also don't feel like Duel Ape has that much replayability value because it's just a Headless Ape. You've already fought the Headless Ape so much because Guardian Ape's required. So you're fighting the Headless Ape. If you do it in a playthrough, you fight Headless Ape 3 different times. You have to fight him in 3 different phases. Second phase of Guardian Ape, first and second phase of the Headless Ape fight. And I feel like that's just like, why? But it's a free memory, so we'll take it. True Monk. Genuinely so good. It's definitely better than Corrupted Monk because I feel like there's less monotony. There's more of a variation in how it changes because each phase is a lot shorter than the phase of Corrupted Monk, especially where you are in the game. But as a whole, it's around the same length. True Monk and Corrupted Monk fight, they're both around the same length at the end of the day, at least for me. It might change based on how good you are at the game because I don't use a stat seed strategy. I'm just talking pure sword and deflect. But outside of that, True Monk, first phase, same as Corrupted Monk, but quicker, which is good. Second phase, slight variation on the moveset. That's that one shadow attack. Really easy to dodge. Almost never get hit by it. Because, like, if you look, he spawns where you're looking, and then you just run backwards, and none of his attacks hit you. And so the second phase becomes the first phase with a slight variation, which I think is good because the first phase is already good, but the second phase adds a bit of spice to it and a bit of difference. And so it's not all the same. And then once you get to the final phase, it's a complete change up. It's the same base at the end of the day, but the move timings are different. Some of the perilous attacks are completely different, and he looks completely different. His movements are sometimes faster, sometimes slower, so you have to relearn the fight, and I think that's really fun. The one slight thing is if you just have firecrackers for the second half of the third phase, if you just firecracker stall it, that third phase goes away immediately. And I think while that's more of a thing with the game's mechanics, I feel like that doesn't make the third phase hit as hard as it should because you don't fight it as long, but it's still a really good phase. If we're just talking as a phase, I really like the switch up, and it's a really cool visual effect as well, and pretty like creepy per se. But outside of that, it's a amazing fight. I still feel like I like Genichiro more because it feels more like a 1v1 duel than True Monk does. It feels more like you're fighting someone at the same level. True Monk feels like you're fighting someone slightly stronger than you. It's an uphill battle, but you still have a chance. I don't know. Those types of feelings just like also help determine what type of boss fight I like, especially in this type of game. And then Owl Father is like there's like I'll get to it later, but perfect for me in this game is like what I'd rank as the best boss fights, which is just a step above amazing. And so I put Owl Father here. It's just great Shinobi Owl, but better in every way, shape, and form. His moveset's better. His aggressiveness is better. His visuals are better. Their arena's better. The fight feels more fun. The fight's more replayable. And it's a very nice touch to the boss. It feels like a very clean boss fight as well. Not really any bullshit attacks. Once you learn it, he's a difficult boss fight, I'd say. But once you learn it, it's a fun boss fight that's with replayability value. And even then, it can be easy to trip up no matter how much you fight him. Because some of the attacks still are a bit quick. So if you're not reacting, if you're not fully locked in, the fight will punish you. And I think I really like that. It feels like a perfect version of Great Shinobi Owl. Okay. Now for a take. I don't know if it's a good take, I don't know if it's a bad take. But Divine Dragon is bottom of average. It's just the only reason it's here and not bad is because of the visuals. Genuinely. It's a very beautiful boss fight. I'll give the devs that. It's a beautiful boss fight. But that doesn't do too much for me if the rest of the boss fight is lacking. You have the lightning gimmick, cool and all, but it can get pretty annoying. His moveset is the same thing, and he's a easy boss. I first tried him. If I'm first trying a boss in a game like Sekiro, without any cheese strats, then you know it's an easy boss fight. And it doesn't really do much for me. It's just there. And I feel like that's the same with Head the Sape. That's the same with Lady Butterfly. And that's why I feel like Lady Butterfly does something. It's a fun boss fight. Same with Emma. But Headless Ape and Divine Dragon are just there for me. And they're all average. Emma, the Gentle Blade, Lady Butterfly, Headless Ape, and Divine Dragon. But I feel like Divine Dragon's still the worst. Because his movesets are just like easy to dodge. Except for that one attack once he gets to his second attack patterns. But outside of that, yeah. Okay. This is a polarizing boss for me. Not for me, but overall. For me, this is the one boss that goes in awful. Because it's not fit for this game. It doesn't feel like it should be in the game. It could be in another game. It could be in like Dark Souls. It could be in Elden Ring. But in this game, it doesn't fit. And I think that's its core sin. Because it doesn't really have it. Sure, you could deflect some of the attacks, but if you're deflecting, you already have a problem with how you fight that boss. You should not really be deflecting. And he's not too difficult, but I've had a really bad experience with him. I beat him on NG +2, and maybe I got really unlucky with the moves he was spamming, but his attacks were so annoying and just like really stupid. It's a really not fun. It's just an aggravating fight for me. It's not fun in any way, shape, or form. Like, I don't want to refight this boss. The only reason I'd refight this boss is to get better at the game overall. But Demon of Hatred just doesn't fit in this game for me. It feels completely wrong. And like I said, maybe I got unlucky with the third phase, but for the entire third phase, every other move, I don't know. I haven't fought him. I haven't got to the third phase too many times, but he was dashing every other attack and then spamming either that slam attack or he's the run back attack with the long arm. Like, I just don't want to fight the boss. It's just not fun. Sure, you get the Lapis Lazulite. Sure, you get X. Sure, it's X, Y, and Z, but like, no. It's not fun for me. Alright, this Genichiro Wave Tomoe, for me, I'm taking it as the one but right before Ishin the Swordsman and the one you fight in the flower field. And I think it's bottom of good. It's not a problem with the... It is weird for me. Like, theoretically, Genichiro Ashina is an amazing, right? Why is Genichiro Wave Tomoe in good? Especially this version. It should be the next to Genichiro Ashina, right? But no. For some reason, it doesn't feel the same. It's like Genichiro Wave Tomoe is just like a small road bump in the way to Ishin the Swordsman. It's a minor inconvenience to get to Ishin the Swordsman, because Genichiro Wave Tomoe is not a hard fight. The one before Ishin is really easy, actually. It's even easier in some ways than Genichiro Ashina, especially if you take them at the points in the game. Genichiro Wave Tomoe is an easy fight. It is truly easy. And it doesn't feel like it offers anything different than Genichiro Ashina or anything better. It just feels like it's there. And the only reason it's in good is because at the base of it, it is still Genichiro, which is still a boss fight moveset I love. But it doesn't have anything to move it up to amazing. It doesn't have anything to move it further up good. It's not average, because I enjoy it more than Emma, but it doesn't have anything to move it up. Like Guardian Ape, no. Kyobu, no. Great Shinobi Owl, no. Ishin, Ashina, no. and all of the other fights above it, no, it doesn't have that. I don't know why. It doesn't have, maybe it's like it's just rehashing the boss, but it just doesn't feel the same. The open blade attacks don't add anything. They make the fight easier in my opinion. Once you learn that, oh, you can literally dash through them, oh, you can literally walk around him, they're literally useless attacks. They give you 5 free hits on him, and you're like, no, 5, obviously, but it's so goddamn good. It's so not goddamn good, so goddamn mid compared to Genichiro. The original Genichiro fight. And now, Ishii and the Sword Saint. My personal favorite fight in the game. It is like, I know this is like the coldest take ever, but Ishii the Sword Saint's perfect in every way, shape, and form. I don't really see many flaws with it. The only flaw I'd have is slightly too much hyper armor in the second and third phases, especially when you're refighting him. So that could be a slight issue, but outside of that, he's a really fun boss fight. All of his moves are really fun. I'd say the weakest phase for him, if we're gonna say something bad, is the second phase. I feel like the spear, some of the attacks feel slightly off in terms of like, he'll just whip it out and immediately, like the jump back attack, especially that one. It's not difficult to block. It's actually pretty easy, but it can be pretty weird and it's slightly annoying and doesn't hurt the replayability. But if we're picking apart the boss fight, that's pretty annoying. Because especially if you're in the middle of a combo, if you don't immediately click the block button to cancel out your attack, you're cooked. That's hitting every time. His gun is really actually pretty fun. I think that it's really funny as well that he just pulls out a pistol on you. But outside of that, it's like a perfect boss fight. And moving on, Inner Genichiro. No, I'm gonna be honest. This is the same thing goes for every inner fight. Difficulty doesn't make it better. At the core of it, they're still the same fight, right? Owl Ishin, the Sword Saint, and Inner Ishin, same core. Owl Father, Inner Father, same core. I get it. It's just a slightly harder version. But the attacks they add, while they make it more difficult, they don't make the boss fight necessarily more fun to fight. They don't. The only reason I fought Inner Ishin more than Ishin the Sword Saint is just for the sheer fact that he's more difficult. Not that I like him more. It's just that, like, I don't feel like I don't feel like difficulty makes it better. Sure, when I'm going for these bosses at this level, sure, difficulty can add some level, but at the core of it, for me, what I like about boss fights are how much fun I have with them, how much I think how fun I have. And at the core of it, sure, I have fun with Inner Ishin, Inner Father, and Inner Genichiro, but it's to the same level as all the others. Maybe slightly less, depending on the day, depending on my mood. It'll be to the same extent or slightly less. Sure, they're replayable but I feel like they don't really add anything better to the fight. I think they just are the fight. So maybe that should bump them down. I could see why you'd argue that they'd be anywhere else. But for me personally, because I still really enjoy the fights, the inner fights, I still think they're really cool and they're a good idea. Doesn't really mean that I'm going to bump them down because of the same fight. I think they just like should be there next to their boss fight because they're basically the same. Maybe that's a flaw in my system because like I was gonna propose that it be similar to Guardian Ape and Headless Ape, but the difference is Headless Ape is just genuinely a worse boss fight than Guardian Ape.
and Inner Ishii is basically the same as Ishii the Sword Say in my mind, not in terms of difficulty or boss fight, but in terms of fun. So I think that's why I have this list. But yeah, basically that's my list. Fuck it. Why did I click my mouse button to send me back? Sorry. Anyways, basically, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you want, leave a like and subscribe. Please comment down below what you think. But see ya.